Welcome to Confused Reviews, where Cartoon Drawing reviews movies. And what do you think of Halloween 3? If you're like me, you may respect the film for doing something different, and is actually a well-made, fun horror movie. But unfortunately, that was the minority, as everyone else hated the movie and demanded Michael return. But did they do it in a way that was worth the wait, or was it just a cash grab sequel to make a quick buck? Well, like I did for the Die Hard review, let's take a look at the history of how Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, brought back Michael and also came to be. Like I said, everyone hated Halloween 3's lack of Michael, so Mustafa Akkad wanted to further the series, but bring back everyone's favorite William Shatner cosplayer. After that, series creator John Carpenter was approached to write and direct the fourth installment. He then teamed up with Dennis Etchison, who just so happened to write the novelization versions of Halloween's 2 and 3, had an interesting twist to the Michael Myers formula. The teens of Haddonfield would try to suppress the memory of Michael, but in trying to do that, just brings him back full force, which also sounds like the concept of bringing Freddy back in Freddy vs. Jason, but that's a separate discussion. But Akkad didn't like that idea, saying it was too cerebral for something as an 80s slasher sequel, and demanded that Michael must be an actual physical killer, not some psychological bullshit. And in what was an astonishing move, John and Debra then sold their rights to Halloween to Mustafa, who quickly rejected Etchison's script, which is unfortunate in a sense, as it would have been another unique entry. But I digress. So, after knowing all that, let's jump right into the movie and see if they should have went with Etchison's script or used the one that they actually made, which has a lot of similarities to the original. Anyways, this is Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. So the film begins like the original did, October 30th, but this time a decade after the original, and instead of the excellent opening score, we instead get wind noises. Anyways, a pair of paramedics arrive at the institution to move Michael Myers from one place to another because, you know, sequel. Oh, someone's watching Halloween Resurrection in there. That poor bastard. James the security guard, played by Raymond O'Connor, recaps Halloween's 1 and 2 for all 3 people in the audience who wandered into the movie thinking it was Crocodile Dundee 2. Dr. Hoffman, played by Michael Pataki, explains that Mikey's been in a coma for 10 years, but is still being transferred. Yes, because a patient that literally hasn't done nothing in over a decade must be very hard to maintain.
Michael Myers is still his patient.
If Loomis read memos, he'd be here.
My hope is that he'll either transfer, retire, or die.
Okay, movie, that's fucked up, cause Donald Pleasence won't even make it through making part 6, so show some goddamn respect. Michael is then carted off in an ambulance and is informed of this little detail.
Did Hoffman say anything about living relatives?
Yeah, a niece living in his hometown.
And like Jason being near horny teens, hearing that Michael has more family around, he springs back to life. And he kills the generic paramedics with the classic stabbed in the head with his thumb kill. Weird. We then bounce over to little Jamie Lloyd, played by Danielle Harris, who's being consoled by Rachel, played by Ellie Cornell, about how she's adopted and how Laurie Strode is her mother, and stuff like that. She's quickly pushed to bed and does all the usual little kid things. Look at pictures of her supposedly dead mother, pray, and be attacked by Michael Myers. And hey, these are hallucinations, right? How does she know Michael's gonna have a different mask than in the original in part 2? Did she know that Debra Hill kept the original mask under her bed and Dick Warlock took the one used in Halloween 2? That's very weird, and also reminds me how they straight up lied and put the original film's mask on the poster instead of the actual one. Probably because they used 3 different masks in this goddamn movie. But let's just move on. The next morning, we're told how Rachel is being forced to babysit tonight because, you know, the original did it. Moving away from Jamie for a second, we see that Dr. Samuel Loomis, played by Donald Pleasence, is still alive. Okay, another side tangent. I can kinda get how Michael could still be alive, because he's pure evil or whatever, but he still got both of his eyes shot out, blown up, and burned to a crisp. And for Loomis, he was an older guy who got blown the fuck up. Not a little burn, you're not coming back, no return engagement, fucking dead. But I'm not going to harp on it too much because, well, Donald Pleasence is the best thing about the later sequels. And if you're going to make 5 more sequels in the original series, at least have 3 of them have one of the best actors of all time. He returns to Dr. Hoffman to tell him why Michael shouldn't have been moved at all, but we wouldn't have a sequel unless everyone but Loomis was a complete dumbass. Oh, and we also see that Loomis has half of his face burned. totally making up for the fact that they should have been dead.
Not.
And ironically enough, at that very moment, Hoffman gets a call about what else. Michael escaped, and before he can tell the doctor, he springs to action. They arrive at the crime scene and somehow can't count because they don't know how many bodies there were. So Loomis does their job for them, saying Michael escaped. God, I wonder what they'd do without Sam. He kicks ass. Oh, and he also tells the dumbass cops that he's heading to Haddonfield because he's been through 2 films already and knows how this works. Oh, and we also get a quick scene of how Michael got his mechanic's uniform, and we cut back to Loomis, who arrives at the gas station. The exact gas station Michael is at. How convenient. He heads inside to find the mechanic is no longer in service, and Loomis finally sees Michael, who now looks like the Slender Man. But this time around, he isn't fucking around.
Your disease, and I'm the cure.
And because it's only been 22 minutes, Michael escapes, putting his driving lessons to good use as he slams into the gas pump, causing Loomis to jump out of the way. Awesome. Back with Jamie, the kids at school
Jamie's an orphan. Jamie's an orphan.
are fucking brutal. No wonder she's so fucked up. She gets picked up by Rachel and Lindsay, played by Leslie Rowland, who is supposed to be the Lindsay from the original, because this movie hasn't copied that movie yet. Oh wait. Over at the costume store, we meet Brady, played by Sasa Jensen, and Wade, played by Richard Slay. Who bet that Wade won't talk to Kelly, played by Kathleen Kinmont, and it
Fuck off, Wade.
could have gone better. Rachel and Jamie arrive, and Jamie starts picking out a costume while Rachel starts kissing that kid with the bushy eyebrows from Dazed and Confused. Anyways, Jamie envisions Michael as both a child and adult, and then she breaks a mirror. That's 7 years of bad luck for you, Missy. That and you're about to witness a fuck ton of people die. But whatever. Loomis is hitchhiking and gets pranked by a group of teens, but is soon saved by Reverend Jackson Sayer, played by Carmen Philby, and the two have a brief exchange, and it gives a little humanity and humor to an otherwise dour movie, and I respect that. It's a nice scene. Back at the house, the parents leave, and judging by these POV shots, Jason must be outside. Loomis heads over to the police station and is told Sheriff Brackett retired in 1981, which must be a nod to the fact that Halloween 2 came out in 1981. And we meet the new sheriff, Ben Meeker, played by Bo Starr, and as expected, the sheriff doesn't believe him, he gives him a speech, and then agrees to help him, because, all together now, the original did it. Rachel and Jamie start trick-or-treating when she meets up with the little douches from earlier who like her now, and then starts trick-or-treating with them. When at Kelly's house, Rachel notices Brady's over. Uh-oh. Taking the time to fight with Brady turns out to be a really stupid idea, however, because Rachel loses Jamie. That's like losing Rudolph on Christmas Eve. A few problems might arise from this happening. And in what's my favorite thing in the movie by far, a group of rednecks hear about the sudden curfew and take it upon themselves to hop in their trucks and go hunting. Awesome. Back with Loomis, they head to Jamie's house and find out Michael's been there. How else? Because he killed a dog, just like in another certain film. Michael's back at the power plant and starts toying with one of the workers.
Hey, you! This city property. No trespassing.
Oh shit, is that William Shatner? Michael then finds out that he prefers Star Wars instead, so he throws the guy onto the power grid, killing the guy and taking out the power. Convenient and effective. Back with Jamie and Rachel, the two struggle to find each other as Jamie is now all alone. But they soon reunite and Loomis and the sheriff pick them up. Just as this happens, a mob of Michaels surround the car. It's great to know that the town sells enough masks that a serial killer wore so that the real one can get one, as well as hundreds of other idiot teenagers. Oh, and we find out that the entire police force has been slaughtered, just as the redneck patrol arrives. God, they're great. And they soon rush to find Michael. They arrive at a pavilion and see Michael and blast him away. Turns out it wasn't Michael, and they instead pulled a Ben Tramer and killed another lookalike. Back with Brady and Kelly, well, sex is commencing when her dad, who happens to be the sheriff, gets home and drops Rachel and Jamie off, because the body count isn't high enough yet.
What's going on?
Michael Myers.
Who's that?
The guy from Austin Powers. Anyways, Loomis then leaves, leaving a bunch of bumbling idiots to die.
Have some coffee.
Goody. Oh, and the sheriff is told about the recent shooting, and he leaves to stop the rednecks. Kelly then brings the other cop some coffee, but lights a match and realizes that's not the cop sitting in the chair. Now, a lot of people ask, why don't killers like Michael use guns? Well, he does, just not in the way they're intended. Rachel soon finds the two corpses, and her and Brady run around the house trying to find Jamie. They do so in a matter of seconds, and as expected, Brady is killed after a quick fight with Michael. Michael killed him because he doesn't like Richard Linklater films. Rachel and Jamie escape to the roof, and in what feels like a 30-minute scene, they try to escape just to have Michael find them, almost kill them. Jamie gets off the roof safely, and Rachel is thrown off the roof. Jamie runs away, and Rachel is obviously still alive, and when you think all hope is lost, Loomis returns and takes Jamie to the school. They enter quickly, and as expected, are ambushed by Michael. Wait a second, rewind the tape. What the shit? Why is his hair blonde? Did not one person on set realize that? Jesus, that's just lazy. That's almost as bad as the CGI mask in Halloween H2O. Anyways, Loomis is thrown through a window and Rachel and Jamie escape. The rednecks return because they're just too damn awesome. They take the two away from Haddonfield, and just when you think they're safe, Michael was on the back of the truck. What the hell? Was he hanging off like Indiana Jones? After that really stupid MacGuffin, he kills the three rednecks in record time, and Rachel takes the wheel, driving around for a really long time, until she throws him off the truck and hits the sumbitch. One demolished ribcage later, the rest of the gun-toting badasses arrive and blow the motherfucker away. They shoot him a shit ton more until he falls down the well from the ring, killing him. For now. Oh, and notice how there's not one scene in this movie about him being blown up with dynamite after falling down the well. Just remember that when we get to part 5. They all return home when we suddenly get a series of POV shots, similar to the beginning of the original, obviously, and we hear a terrifying scream from Rachel's mom. It's then revealed that Jamie, dressed in a clown costume, stabbed her foster mom with a pair of scissors. Loomis starts freaking out and almost shoots her. The sheriff stops him, but almost does the same thing, and as the film comes to a close, it's set up that Jamie Lloyd is going to be the next killer. Too bad they don't do a fucking thing with that in the next movie. And that was Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. And it was decent. It's the best of the Halloween sequels after Part 3 for sure, and does have a few good things in it. Danielle Harris is fantastic, and as you would expect, Donald Pleasence is as good as ever. The rednecks are some of my favorite characters in any horror movie, and are honestly exactly how people would react if a serial killer was in their town. There are some good death scenes in it, like the gun stab death, and the power plant kill is great. It also has a hilarious Michael Myers death that puts a smile on my face every time. But it does rehash a lot from the original, which isn't terrible, but it just seems like they rushed a script together, and seems a lot more lazy when you know the backstory of the original script, which tried something different. Plus, a lot of the scenes seem to drag, probably to make it to feature length, which is never a good thing. Overall, this is a fine entry, and is a decent slasher movie, and I'd recommend it to fans of horror, and obviously fans of the Halloween series. And compared to what comes later on, this movie looks like fucking Citizen Kane. I'm going to give Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, a B, because it's a solid flick, but is a step down from the first 3 installments. I'm Confused Reviews, thanks for watching.